In this last and final video, it's going to be kind of the put it all together video. The first thing we want to talk about is riding assignments. We need to treat extrication the same way we do a structure fire. Structure fire, when we get on scene, everybody knows their predetermined role, and people get in motion and get to work, and there's no waste of time. We need to treat auto extrication the same way. Know what to bring with you, know what your responsibility is, once again, just so we can reduce on-scene times and help victims out. So just like we carry a card for high-rise assignments, so everybody knows their predetermined role, here's one for auto extrication. I'm sure somebody will shoot all sorts of holes in this, but it's a good starting point anyways. It shows exactly what you need to carry to the scene and what your responsibility is. Once again, just having predetermined roles is going to speed up our time, especially when you get an overtime person or swing personnel. Hand them this card, say, hey, here's your role, here's what I want if we have an auto extrication, so we can speed things up. Once again, that way there's no duplication of effort, which is a major waste of time, and we can be proficient. We'll put this on the X drive. That way, if anybody wants a copy of it for their rig, you can go ahead and just print it out. Or if you want to make your own modifications, once again, we just highly encourage some predetermined roles to speed things up. So here's a demonstration of just a total scene. A lot of videos are out there that show people doing this. There's even contests of people doing this on cars that are pristine, that would look like they should be for sale on a car lot. That's obviously not realistic, so we tried to smash this one up with the SkyTrack best we could, trying to mash it in on the driver's side. So you can see officer gets on scene, does a quick size up, checks on the patient, cuts a seatbelt if they feel necessary, and firefighters immediately come in and start stabilizing the vehicle. Drivers starting to get tools up to the scene. First couple tools that are going to be necessary other than cribbing is going to be a Halligan and a Sawzall. Glass is taken for access. You don't have to take all the glass out. Just take what you need to gain access to your patient. When we pierce our tires with a Halligan, we're going to go to the top of the tire or to the side to make sure our tool doesn't get trapped, and then from there we're going to move on to the battery. Our driver is doing a good job of getting the tools that we need up to the scene. That way, as we need them, they're handy. We're not having to call for anything. After we get the tools on scene, next is going to come a charged hose line. We want to always have a hose line down anytime we're doing an extrication. Get our patient covered with a tarp for their protection. If you suspect C-spine problems, go ahead and put a C-collar on them. You can see here we're going to cut the hinges with the Sawzall. A lot of times that's going to be quicker than using our extrication tools. One guy cuts, pass it over to the other guy, and then move on to getting the hood out of the way of the battery. You'll see here that we have a little difficulty getting the hood completely pulled off, so we decided just to twist it out of the way. Once again, the hood does not need to be completely removed. All we're looking for is access to the battery. During this whole video, some things didn't go perfectly as planned, but that's good for realistic demonstration. Once again, if all we practice on is just pristine cars, then we may get thrown for a loop when we actually get one that's messed up. So, like we talked about in the very first video, we ran into a couple things that weren't working real well, so we had to adapt. But as long as we have that good foundation layer of basic skills, then we can easily change things and adapt to fix the situation and make it be a successful operation. So we have multiple tools working at once here. Anytime we can have more than one thing happening at the same time, as long as it's not putting anybody or the victim in danger, to speed up the process, the better. Once again, that's just going to take practice, coordination amongst y'all. We decided to cut the hinges on this car once they were exposed. Start at the top hinge, move down to the bottom. And once we get them cut, then we're going to go ahead and spread it out of the way. Working on the fender to get that out of the way so we can expose the actual structural part, make sure we get a good cut put through there. So we have our next tool ready to go and ready to be handed off. Once again, thinking ahead of what's next is going to save us time. You can see here that as we go to attack these hinges, we are in the middle of the door, which is going to put us in between the hinges. The hinges have already been cut though, remember here, so we're not necessarily fighting both hinges like we're trying to spread and break the hinges. They've already been cut. We're just now trying to get the door out of the way, so that's why we went in between the hinges. We decided not to remove the door completely here just because it wasn't really in our way, so we didn't want to waste time doing that. We immediately started working on the A-post and the front support. You can see once again 2 tools working at once. Just cutting the bottom of the A-post, using the spreaders to make ourselves a little bit more room on that front support member. Having to put our cutters in a couple different positions here. Remember, we need to cut all the way through that A-post, which means we have to get one tooth on the back side to pierce that firewall. We decided to try jacking a dash here with the spreaders, so we have to make multiple cuts at the bottom of that A-post with the cutters in order to make that tab that we can pull out of the way, therefore be able to put the points of our spreaders in there and lift this dash up. If you pull out, then I'll come behind you and I'll cut the same post on the top. Second firefighter stage with the spreaders, ready to get in there and do his part as soon as the cutters are out of the way, once again saving time. And then while he's using his spreaders to do that, we're going to start cutting that front fender, and then the third person, actually the officer here, is going to start cutting that A-post, getting all 3 tools working at the same time to reduce scene time. Going to peel and peek, make sure we have no airbag cylinders, and then we're going to cut this with the Sawzall. So you can probably see here, underneath those spreaders, that bottom piece is already actually pushing out, just the way the car reacted when we cut it with the A-post. So we weren't able to get a real good push with our spreaders. Instead of lifting the dash up, it kept trying to push that bottom piece underneath out. So you can see we're already starting to peel the plastic and rubber to get ready for a roll with the ram, just in case the spreaders aren't successful, which they end up not giving us enough lift. So we move on to the ram. Once again, Plan A doesn't work. We always have Plan B in our back pocket by being good at the basics, and we're still able to get this dash displaced rather quickly. Down in the right corner here, you'll see a firefighter cribbing underneath that B post. Since we're using that ram, we want to crib underneath that B post since that's where we're pushing. While we're waiting on that, going ahead and making a second cut on the top of that A post just to ensure that we don't have that A post hang up. Rubber's been peeled, so now we can go ahead and use our ram. Since the top of that A-post is kind of messed up, we're going to attempt to shoot for that bar that we talked about that runs through the dash behind that AC vent. Unfortunately, we were not able to hit it really quick, so we decided just to go ahead and move on to that A-post. and got a good bite on that. So now we're starting to get some good lift for our patient. We're about 9 minutes into this from getting on scene, so not bad. Always room for improvement. Always can do things a little quicker, but definitely not bad for a wrecked car, being able to get that dash lifted off in 9 minutes. So once again, we had some things to overcome, but it's a good video to show that it doesn't always go perfect, but as long as we can come up with a new plan to help the patient out, we'll be good. You can see here we repositioned our ram again just for giggles to see how much more lift we could get. Normally only takes about 2 inches to get them out, but we want to see how far we can make it go. So at this point, we're going to probably lay that seat back, get our patient out. If for some reason you feel like you need more room, obviously now's the time we're going to cut that roof off and get it out of the way and then extract our patient.